caring should be considered as a human right. And I think that it is such a core issue within our society that there will always be carers there, and it's important for us as a species that we recognise caring and that we support caring. I would think that it has to be seen as a very basic part of our society and a basic right. And I think we need to put energies into, if you like, creating the awareness and the acceptance and marshalling the arguments as to why it should be seen as an intrinsic part of our society, as it were, and our rights, as opposed to looking for some exception for this group.
I have to say, in the US, it would be highly unlikely that we would be able to view the carers movement in the same light as the disability movement or the women's movement or, civil rights. It's just unlikely. What I would think would be more likely is, in the US, is that the carers movement might be like AIDS in a way, not as dramatic, but that if it would be possible to get the grassroots to come together to say, we would really like to have these services, it wouldn't be a rights issue. It wouldn't be that way. It would be more a budget issue. That, okay, we'll support family caregivers by providing more respite care, by providing more money for education, by perhaps saying you could get Social Security credits if you left the workforce, those kinds of issues, and more piecemeal. It will be interesting to see how it progresses and whether it actually perhaps goes from international to countries that are much more in line with let's make this a rights issue, and then it'll somehow filter down to being, for those of us in the US, to be able to get some of those pluses, but not really as an overall rights issue.
There's been a lot of discussion around whether caring or carers should be identified as a human rights issue. And in Canada, we've had a lot of discussion around that, and it's really what we believe is a process. You really have to have a strong understanding of who the carer is and what they require, and then you really have to go through a very reflective process, and we've actually been doing that right now throughout Canada. I guess a couple years ago, we, instead of going through this reflective process, jumped right to the end to develop a Bill of Rights for carers. And it sounded like a really great idea. We got a really great Bill of Rights, and then afterwards we looked and went, we don't think that this is realistic. So we kind of took a couple steps back and we said, let's go through this process. Let's reach out. Let's start to talk to caregivers. Let's really build a very strong narrative for caregivers so that we can have some really key messages and move those forward. And then obviously our ultimate goal is to have carers as a human rights issue.
Taking the approach whereby you argue that people have a right to care is so different, is so valuable. For me, it absolutely places caring where it belongs, which is in the centre of people's lives. And it can be, difficult and tragic and life-changing. It can be positive, life-changing in a completely different way. But actually, it is just part of your life. People's lives include, periods of great joy, periods of great pain. That's the way it is. And I think a right to participate in your life, the lives of the people you care about most, without being steamrollered is fairly fundamental. But it also normalises it for me. It enables people to see caring as part of a life course, something we do, something to be planned for. And in that way, you can embed it in every area of your life and expect a reasonable response to it, when it happens.